Okay, so in today's tutorial, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making clothing items in a custom pose. So not necessarily the default T pose. So what I mean is, let's say we have we have an idea what our cloth is supposed to look like when the arms are down like this. Let me just show you. So let's say we model something with the object in this pose, but we don't know how to get it back to the default. We don't know how to model it in the default pose, in the default T pose. So that's what this tutorial will cover. What you would need a dev kit or like your basic rigged object. So in this video I'll be using the sub 3D Nina dev kit, the studio dev kit. Then you would also need a blank. If you're using Marvelous Designer, you need a blank Marvelous Designer workspace. So do not use the dev kit that comes with the sub 3D Nina dev kit pack or any other kit. Basically you just need a blank one. So let's get started. So let's say like I demonstrated earlier, we want to make something with the arms down. Okay, what you need to do first of all is get a clear picture of the pose that you want to make the clothing around. So so for me, all I want is for the arms to be down. So I'm going to go and press R. So R as in rat. So R 60, right? Then I could drop the shoulders, but I'm not dropping the shoulders in this case. I'm just demonstrating an example. So then on the left, this is the right shoulder. So you can see the name of the bones, RT shoulder. So I'm going to go R minus 60. Now it's important. What's very important is you knowing how you got to the pose. You understand? So I won't be using the pregnant body, neither will I be using this dress. Let's go to the default GA body. So this is the body I'll be using for this tutorial. So it's important that you know how you got to this pose. Do not use values that you can't remember. So do not rotate arbitrarily, like just pressing R and so the next thing you want to do is duplicate this object using Shift D or whatever the duplicate hotkey is on your Blender. So you would see it with .001. Then you come to armature and apply. So you apply that armature. So now so basically what has happened is we've frozen the object in this pose. You understand? So why we've done this is because we want to model something with the object in this pose. So let's export this object. Okay, so we select just the object, export. Since we're going to Marvelous Designer, well, let's do that as an OBJ. So you selection only. I will bump the scale to 100. Why I'm bumping the scale to 100 is because generally I found that for the smaller dev kits like the studio dev kit for the Nina body and the modeling dev kit also for the Nina body, I found that scaling it up by 100 would make things much easier to handle in Marvelous Designer. So exporting at the default scale necessarily something that I would recommend. So bump the scale up to 100. Give it a name of your of your liking. So I will just call this hands down. Let's just call this hands down OBJ, and then you export your OBJ. Now that we've exported our OBJ, so we can come to Marvelous Designer. Now, like I said earlier, you need a blank Marvelous Designer workspace. So now we're going to go to open. No. We're going to import an OBJ. Okay, then we're going to select our hands down. So the load type is open and the object type is avatar. So all these settings are fine. Then you press OK. Sure, why not? Okay, so now we have our still object in what's it called, in Marvelous Designer. Okay, so now it's time to get started on the drawing process. So I'm using H. Basically what I'm going to be making today is like a band around the chest area. So let's go ahead. Nothing fancy. You could even use the S tool if you want to recreate exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so I don't think this is a perfect quadrilateral, so let's okay, so we have a straight line, we'll have another straight line. Okay, and let's make everything straight. Okay, so pressing Z, I'm going to unfold symmetric sewing. Then I'm going to press A and Control C and Control V. Control R if you'd like to mirror paste the object. Then I'm flipping the normal using the gizmo. I am dragging it to be aligned a bit on the X-axis, then pulling it back to behind the avatar on the Y-axis. So let's bring this closer. The closer things are, the better your simulation at the end of the day. Okay, so now you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. You could add sleeves if you want, or straps if you want. What I'm thinking of adding straps is so it doesn't fall off, but let's see. Let's press our N. Let's press our N and see how things go. So press Q to put yourself back in the move tool. Let's see. So we're going to remesh. And bump down this particle distance to 10. So you can see, because the particle distance here is 10 and then this one is still stuck on 20, you can see that like this is like a many to one mapping thing. So you just come here and bump this one down to 10 as well, so that everything's balanced, and you equally remesh it as well. So check remesh, and now everything is balanced. So we have the basic setup. So if this doesn't slip off the body, then we're good to go. Oh wow, okay, so let's just drag this up. We wanna go into okay, so I generally I think it's a bit short. So let's turn off the simulation. Z, let's bring this down again. No, not that way. Just no. Yeah, just this point. Just this point. So using X, we can add extra points and then move alter them with Z. Okay. Let's really bring this one down. Okay, so come here. Come here. Of course, you can follow along with your own custom objects. I'm just making, and then let's convert this to a curve point. Okay, so let's try it. Let's see again. Aha, so we have a top now. So I'm sure that you get the idea of what we're trying to do. So now that we have our top, all we need to do is select everything with Control A and then export OBJ selected. Let's just call this shoulder wrap. Let's just call this shoulder wrap OBJ. Shoulder wrap OBJ. Then I'm going to select all patterns. I'm going to have weld checked on, single object and thin, unified UV coordinates, of course. I'm not exporting any textures, and yes, I will save with the absolute texture image file path and okay. So now we're going to import our OBJ, our shoulder wrap. So this is our shoulder wrap OBJ. So you're going to go to your shoulder wrap in the outliner and make sure it's the only thing that's selected. Press Control A and all transforms. Okay, now it's going to apply all transforms so that when we're scaling down, the scaling is uniform. So I'm going to press S period 01, because like I said, this particular scene is 100 times smaller than the regular scene. So this is our wow, I should have let this thing fall a bit. Don't worry, it's fine. So so this is our object now. What we're going to do now is, first of all, ensure our UVs are in order, which thankfully they are. So turn off proportional editing by pressing O, in case you had proportional editing on. Control E to bring up the edge menu, and then you clear the sharps if you want to. Then I will select everything. So A to select everything in the UV editor. Under the UV, I will select seams from islands. Okay, so this shouldn't have any issues. This is basically an all chords mesh. So yes, we don't have any issues. So what we can do now is, using our face select tool here, we can press L and then okay, hold on, we need to tab into object mode, because you can't take our materials in edit mode. So tab back into edit mode, add a material. So let's call this one let's just call this S wrap 1, and we're going to index that with 30. So now everything is assigned to S wrap 1. Then you add a new material, you call this S wrap 2 31, and then assign. So just so we're on the same page and we're sure that everything worked, we did our assigning very well. We can change the viewport display color of our materials. Okay, so we don't have our UV maps done. So let's scale this up. So for this particular top, what I would like to do is I would like to rotate it by 90, because my preference with working with IMVU objects is using the 256 by 512 dimensions, and this is basically like a rotated long rectangle, so that's why I'm rotating it by 90. But this is my own preference at the end of the day, so I will rotate mine by 90. But you know what, let's undo the rotation, so that we're all on the same page. At the end of the day, it being a square isn't an issue either. Doing the same thing for the back, let's scale it up to cover as much ground as possible. Okay, so scale to cover as much ground as possible. SY, scale on the Y, scale on the Y, scale on the Y, scale on the Y. What I think is you could actually do UV maps in Marvelous Designer. You can do UV maps in Marvelous Designers to save you this process. I just prefer doing this in Blender. Okay, so we have our top, we have the materials, and we have the UV maps. So let's come back to layout. So we're in layout now. We are in layout, and we have the body, we have the cloth, but obviously nothing is rigged. You can see every other thing is moving, but this particular object isn't moving. So what you're going to do now is we're going to select the body. We're going to then select our top using the shift select. Then we're going to control tab, weight paint, weights, and transfer weights. Okay, so we're going to use nearest face interpolated and by name. So you can see that this process isn't dependent on whether there is a skeleton or not. So we're going to come back into object mode. So now, like I said, you have to remember the values you used when you made this pose. So we rotated only the left and right shoulders by 60 and minus 60. So we're going to reverse that process now. So we are going to first select just the top, then shift select the skeleton, control P with empty groups. Oh no, not yet. No, not yet. We're going to add an armature modifier first. So we're going to select the only armature modifier here, which is the clothing avatar armature. And if we drag animations across the timeline, so you can see it's already moving, but it's not in the T-pose. Your avatar's default body is not in this pose. This is what your avatar's default body is. So what you're now going to do is you're going to alter the pose for the armature. So you're going to rotate this up by minus 60, and then the other one by 60. Okay, then you are going to apply this, come back to the skeleton, select everything, and Alt R. So this is what it looks like in the T-pose. Okay, so now we're going to select the cloth in the T-pose, then shift select the skeleton, then control P with empty groups. Okay, so now that basically just parents it to the skeleton. So now if we drag the timeline across, you can see you can see what it looks like. So let's actually smooth the weights because it's looking nasty. So tap this back into weight paint mode, deselect everything, maybe select just one bonus. So okay, so you can see, do we, yeah, let's smooth out everything. So we're going to hold, we're going to press our vertex selection, then we're going to press A to select all the vertices. Then we are going to go to weights and smooth all groups. I won't do more than 2 for this one. I won't do more than 1 for this one, sorry. So you turn this back off and then you tab back into object mode with control tab, and now your object is essentially ready for export now. So you are going to go to what's it called, if you're using the IMVU Studio devkit, this is the export process. So make sure it's the only thing in the clothing export collection. So this is the dress from the previous tutorial, so I'm just going to move it to this other items collection that we created in the previous tutorial as well. Then you first limit the bones. Okay, now that we've limited our bones, now we can export our creation. Okay, so now we're going to go into IMVU Studio. So let's find the derivable top for sub 3D. So if it's not the latest set of products in the sub 3D catalog, all you need to do is search for Nina, and it will narrow down your search. So we are going to be deriving from the Nina top dev kit. So this is the Nina top dev kit. Now we're going to go ahead and derive. Okay, so let's start by importing our FBX. So it's going to like I said, it's going to export your what's it called now, it's going to export your object with the default with the name of your Blender file with clothing attached to it. So let's just rename it here, so we don't get confused in the future, or it doesn't get overridden in the future. Let's just call it, let's shoulder wrap rigged. Let's add a rigged so that we are able to tell the difference. Then now we're going to set up our FBX. Yes, you can leave the scale as 1 since we're using the IMVU Studio dev kit for Nina. We're going to attach this, since this is a top, I would recommend 44 for tops. Yes. We don't have any baked textures. You can apply your textures here, but make sure that your materials are in check and the material IDs are in check. Next, we don't need the animation, no, and we are done. So let's import the OBJ. So that is how this process works in essence. Obviously the cleanup process is dependent on you. So for example, this isn't anything like the pose that we made. So if I load an avatar that's similar to the pose that we made, so let's hold on, let me get an avatar that's similar. So this is what it would look like. But my guess is why it's sharp here is either because there's a bone we didn't account for that's that's acting up, or because we smoothed out the weights. But this basically is what it looks like. So let's quickly redo the whole thing without smoothing out the weight. So I'll be back. So yes, smoothing the weights won't be to your favor with this kind of mesh. So a simple transfer of weight would be fine. So you can see now we have we have it bending here because the shoulders are bending. But should we have an avatar in the exact pose, then we'd be fine. So do not smooth the weights. Do not smooth the weights, and you'd be fine enough. So this is the process for transferring weights in. Let's just quickly add. This is the process for transferring weights in custom poses. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching, and see you soon enough.